one. I'm not seeing it. Are people seeing me? Um, huh. This is weird. Are you seeing the stream, Tino?
Yeah, yeah. I see our
I see the
thumbnail.
thumbnail. Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome. This is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. Thanks for joining, guys, for my new mode of live streams here, where I can get guests on board and discuss all things vegan. And my guest this week, this episode at least, I'm doing more than one a week now, you guys know, is Tino from the Bananiac YouTube channel. And Tino and I go way back. We met back in 2013. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Tino, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell them a little bit more than I just said there, like what you do, your background, and yeah, let them know who Tino of Bananiac is.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. So my name's Tino. I'm known as Bananiac on the interwebs, and I have a YouTube channel called Bananiac. I'm a nutritionist outside of that. I'm also vegan. I'm actually going to be vegan for 8 years on the 15th, so just next week, and I'm super excited about it. And just, I don't know, besides that, like I'm into music, I'm into art and creating, and just, you know, being a goofy dude, you know?
So we are pretty similar, I guess. You know, we have a lot of common there. But I want to get to your background in nutrition because a lot of us vegan YouTubers are we're interested in nutrition. We've read lots of studies, seen lots of like say nutritionfacts.org videos. But you're one of the few that actually took it seriously. You went to college and you have a degree in was it nutrition or dietetics? So why don't you tell people about that? And probably what a lot of people are wondering: how the hell do you go through a program in nutrition in a university here in the United States as a vegan? It must be really frustrating because I know that the meat and dairy industry fund a lot of nutritional education. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. So I went, let me backtrack. So I went vegan in 2012. I watched a documentary called Forks Over Knives, which I'm sure a lot of people in this stream have seen. It's no surprise, but if you haven't, it's a great documentary and really opened my eyes to just, the power of plant-based nutrition, what it can really do for the prevention and treatment of chronic disease, which at 21 years old, I didn't really care that much about it. But, I was seeing like my grandparents, family members just go through really horrible things because of their health. They were suffering. So I thought that maybe if I followed in their footsteps, knowing that I have the same genetic code as them, that I would follow that the same path and lead to the same consequences. So I decided to change my diet. I went vegan, and never looked back, man. I adopted this first for the health reasons, and then I did it for ethical reasons after watching another documentary called Earthlings, and been super stoked about it since. I've been wanting to get the word out since, so I decided to not only make a YouTube channel, but also to degree-wise, because I was in school, I was an astronomy major,
Oh
believe it or
wow,
not.
that was something I
Big,
was extremely seriously considering majoring in too. I had no idea. I want to let
yeah.
people in the comments know too that yeah, we're gonna pause between like me and Tino discussing and just take some pause time out for you guys to ask questions. So right now, since we're talking about like vegan studying nutrition, so start thinking about any questions you might have for Tino or even me about studying nutrition as a vegan. So yeah, so you pivoted over to nutrition. So yeah, what's it like taking courses where I'm sure many of your teachers were not all that positive about eating no meat or dairy or eggs or anything like that? How did that go? And
Yeah,
also
for
the
sure. I mean,
science too. I'm sure you must have thrown some science at them. How did that go? So what were their biases like, and how did they react to science?
yeah. So it was frustrating at first because when you first go vegan, you're like militant AF,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like when you're so passionate and so stoked about it, like you don't want to take any. So yeah, it was hard in the beginning. It was the hardest. Just like telling you that you need meat for protein.
Your teachers were saying that you need to have animal products, specifically meat or something?
I mean, there were a few professors that admitted that you can be healthy eating a plant-based diet, but there were some that would advise not being vegan, that they themselves experience like vegans being unhealthy and
Like
all
that's
this stuff. And
scientific. Did you point to them, the official position as they were known then as the American Dietetics Association, the largest group of health professionals
yeah,
in the country, and
yeah,
they say it's perfectly fine and healthy and adequate and prevents disease. What do your
yeah.
teachers think of their position? And again, I want to point out their position wasn't just something they reasoned on an armchair. It was based upon reviewing the scientific literature. They came to that conclusion. So what do your professors think of that?
Yeah, for sure. So A&D, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, is who credited us in the first place.
Oh,
So a lot of my professors, they didn't even know about this paper coming from the same organization that hands us down our
whoa.
degrees. So I show them that, and some like were, wow, like, I've never seen this info before, very interesting. And others were like, yeah, whatever, like, that doesn't mean anything. It was really remarkable, like how much bias was in these people's like just
Wait,
live
wait,
like
let me
existence. You know
stop
what
you
I
right there.
mean?
So they know who this institution is, who credits your whole program there, and they're saying, "Oh, who cares if this group that we trust and respect reviewed dozens, if not hundreds, of scientific papers? Let's just dismiss that as like nonsense. Like what? How can a scientist say that? How can a scientist just reject that without some kind of
Yeah.
rebuttal of science rather than just personal opinion?
Yeah, it's nuts. I remember I had one professor who was super into animal studies. And so he had that bias, like he was totally against that, and he knew like, vegans were against using all animal products, especially for animal testing as well. So I think he really had a thing against vegans. And I remember one time, so I went to University of Maryland, right? It's right by DC, and it was so cool. Like I'm getting goosebumps, man. Like we, the University of Maryland collaborated with PCRM in my senior year. No, was it my senior year? I think it might have been my junior, where I could attend one of the conferences PCRM was having through University of Maryland for
That's
free. And so,
Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Dr. Bernard, is he like their
yeah,
president or? Uh huh.
yep, you
Okay.
got it right. Yep. So basically, we got to attend for free. So there was this blast email, asking everyone, is anyone interested? I was, of course, the first person to
Of course.
reply. My friend Lee replied very quick too. Which, side note, I don't want to like deter from your question too much, but I went to college with my friend Lee, who is now a dietitian for PCRM. Talk about a small world. We were in the same
Wow.
classroom, and we're going around the room, and our professor told us to introduce ourselves and what specifically about nutrition we're
Yeah.
interested in. And I think I forget who went first, but basically, like one of us was like, "Yeah, I'm into plant-based nutrition, and I'm interested in the benefits that it has for chronic, prevention for
Yeah.
chronic diseases, and something along the
Hmm.
lines of that." And like when we both shared that, we looked at each other. We're like, "Oh my god!" We became like best friends. Like we would study together and like chat between classes about like all this nonsense. So anyway, we both ended up going to that conference for free. But let me go back to the main
Okay.
topic. So okay, so that blast email is sent out. Does anybody want to attend this conference for free? We reply. Then that professor that I was telling you about, who is against animal, well, who
He
is
loves animals to
who is
test.
for animal, yeah, animal testing, right? That professor, he's like, oh, do not listen to anything that this organization has to say. Like
Because?
he replied this to
Why?
everyone. Well, that's what I replied back, and I was like, um, professor, whatever. Like, could you elaborate a little bit
Yes.
more? I'm really interested to learn more about this organization, not knowing that I was volunteering
Yeah.
for them and a super big fan. I was just like,
You're trolling
just a
him.
general statement. Right, right. And then he replies back to my director, not even to me. He's like, one of your students, Tino, is asking about this organization and blah, blah, blah. So he never got back to me. but you could just show like there's like some fishy stuff going on, pun intended, and it's just ridiculous,
I mean,
man.
first, let me
A
just
lot
kind
of
of
bias.
elaborate, just pause right there on what you said, because, okay, let's say that professor of yours is like pro animal testing. That's his passion in life. Let's go that far. Okay, so we have the PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and they're all about plant-based diets and how they're beneficial for health, and there's tons of science that they have to back up their claims and positions. Okay, so what does that have to do with animal testing? They're about improving people's health through eating plants. So say your professor was butthurt that they might be against animal testing. I've never seen the PCRM make a position statement about animal testing that I can think of. Why did he connect the two like that? Animal testing and Dr. Bernard's message of eating plants for health. It's not the same thing.
I mean, I do know that PCRM is against animal
I assume they
testing,
were.
but I get
Yeah.
it. No, I get what you're saying, though. It's like, okay, let's put that aside. Like, let's talk about the health. Well, this is the same guy who was also promoting ketosis diet, like a keto diet, and saying that it was healthy.
It
And
might
this
be
was,
if you have like some incurable epilepsy, perhaps, right? But for like normal,
oh
healthy
yeah,
people, where's the...
that's basically what he was promoting. Is like, oh, it's so good for weight loss. Like, don't eat carbs. And this, he was the same. He was my biochem teacher. You know, we went through
So your
glycolysis
biochem teacher thought that eating carbohydrates, a whole macronutrient food group, was somehow inherently unhealthy, will give us disease and or shorten our lives. Did he really believe that? And did he show you his science that he's making these claims from?
I mean, I don't remember exactly what he went through, but we definitely went through like all the different like nerdy mechanisms of like, you know, how your body generates ketones, how your body breaks down sugar. We went through all of that at the time. And, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big
Biochem.
like refined, like down to that level. Like it's just, my brain doesn't process
Mine
things
doesn't
like that.
either,
Um, yeah. So, it is what it is. Like, he showed us all the mechanisms. I personally don't really care because it's a holistic system. Like, our body's not like one little piece. Like, it's like everything's working together.
Yeah, it's too reductionistic.
As Dr. Campbell says, it's a symphony of nutrients working together to create an orchestra, right? So that's it was nuts. It took a lot of willpower to make it through that.
Yeah, I commend you for not getting expelled or anything like that. It'd be hard for a lot of us who are very passionate about veganism and animal rights and the healthful benefits of plant-based diets, and to hear such nonsense coming from someone who's trying to educate us and and trying to engage them in some kind of like scientific discussion, and them seeming to like just skirt around it, which is really frustrating. I thought these were people of science.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the support group that I had during my years in dietetic school, that really helped, man. My friend Lee and then some other girls that were in there, like we would all like group together, walk, together between classes, like talk about what we learned about stuff that we know about the benefits of plant-based nutrition. Like we had a solid group, and I was so fortunate because of that. I can't imagine if I went there literally alone and didn't have people to connect with. Like I really would, and I probably would get expelled. So they kept me grounded.
That's probably
for
what
sure.
kept you from getting expelled, is having your friends, your support group, and then just knowing a YouTube community as well. Because I remember when let's go back to when we met, because I remember when I met you, you were embarking on this educational path. I think we both got our YouTube starts in 2013, and we met up at the Woodstock Fruit Festival in late summer. And let's just tell people about that. A lot of people probably haven't heard much about how those early days of veganism on YouTube, and it was kind of a weird scene because it was based around like raw veganism and fruitarianism and all that stuff. And the Woodstock Fruit Festival is like, you're supposed to like it's a 7-day thing, 6 or 7 days, and you're supposed to be eating only their food, which is all like, like basically, fruits and salad. Basically, that was really all they had was
Yeah.
fruit and salad. It's actually way more salad. People's probably seen my videos where I complained about the lack of fruit. Like literally, I remember one day they were handing out blueberries like with a thimble. Like, here's your 3 blueberries that you paid $1,200 to attend this festival, all you can eat for.
Right.
Most days I didn't even
Right.
have bananas, and the days I did, it was usually a small amount. That was one of the hungriest weeks of my life because of the lack of food there, which to me, kind of showed how it's really difficult to maintain 100% raw diet. Even these experts couldn't have ripe fruit available every meal every day, which is what I tell people is one of the difficulties. But how raw were you when you attended that? For Angie and I, we had actually been raw a bit before that, and by the time we attended there, we were already eating like potatoes, rice, steamed vegetables, stuff like that. So but we're still pretty used to raw. But I imagine for some people it probably was really difficult if you've ever done that before. Where were you on that raw spectrum at the time?
Yeah. I did it for like maybe a month, if that. And it was tough. It was a nice challenge, like knowing like I could do it, and it was something new at the time. I've never heard of like anyone that was just eating raw, besides the people that were promoting it, of course. And like I learned about it, but like before then, I didn't know like that was a thing. So I tried it out. I remember like doing 30 bananas a day in one day. I remember eating like 16 oranges in one sitting. It was nuts. It was nuts. I mean, it was fun, it's like something cool to try, and it's relatively safe. It's not like I was going on a ketosis diet, but like it was tough to get all the calories that I needed, especially being active. Like I was just getting into cycling at the time too, and cycling, you burn a lot of calories. So just doing it off of fruit alone, or even like raw vegetables, it's impossible. Well, I don't want to say impossible, but it was really difficult for me in my experience. And so when I went to the festival, I wasn't raw. I was still eating like, cooked food, like starches and beans and things like that. Really, really healthy foods, in my opinion. I wasn't 100% raw, but it was still a cool experience. I got to meet cool people like yourself and other YouTubers, and like, I don't know, people in the community. Like I'm sure people in the live stream like still recognize to this day. So it was a really cool experience. It was a lot of fun, like going on the hikes, or like what did we do? We went on bike rides,
I had a
just
good
chilling.
time.
Yeah. But I do remember when I attended, especially with the stuff that they had available, it was a little bit tough to sort of get enough calories to be energized throughout the whole day to go on like a huge run or something like that.
Every day we're doing all that stuff. I want to address a couple comments here. I see Laura Mosley, one of our longtime viewers, and I saw in a video I put out today how, just to go off track a tiny bit, how I was pretty sure I had COVID-19, judging by the symptoms I had in late February, early March. And Laura said her husband had something similar and is getting an antibody test, which is something I'm super interested in doing. So yeah, Laura, please let me know when your husband gets it and how I could go about getting it, because I'm very curious about that. Okay, back to, and thanks for your super chat tip too there, Laura. Trini Vegan made a comment where it's kind of half right, but I'll correct it all for you here. Trini Vegan said, I remember when Duran Ryder brought their own rice and a pot, I think. No, that was me and Angie, who infamously made a video about how it was like towards the end of the week at Woodstock. I think it was like, it's a 7-day fest. It's like on day 5 or something like that. We were just finally, F it. We're so frustrated how every day we keep going back hoping there'll be ripe mangoes, ripe bananas, and we're just hungry as F. And they just keep giving us salad all the time. Like, no, F this salad. There's like 50 calories in this salad. I can't live off this salad. So fortunately, Angie doesn't. We kind of have control issues being our own persons. We work for ourselves. We are our own. We're used to controlling a lot of things, particularly how we eat. And Angie don't want to be completely at their whim. So she threw in a small bag of rice into our luggage. And we didn't stay at Woodstock. We stayed like 3/4 of a mile down the road in, some motel. I don't know, like a cabin or something like that. And they happened.
Oh, were you guys off
Yeah,
campus? I
we're
didn't even
totally
realize.
off. Yeah, so we like walked or rode a
Wow.
bike there every morning, and when we checked in, they said they had rice pots. Like, we'll take that because we brought a bag of rice. What a coincidence! So finally, yeah, one day we were just so frustrated at dinner time. There's nothing. We said, screw it. Let's just grab some supplies here. We got some salad, some avocados, brought it back, and made basically like one of the dishes in Angie's book, Keep It Carb, a rice bean dish. No, not just a rice and veggies dish. And yeah, once the Woodstock founders learned about this a little bit later, they were furious. It's like, hey, we did this on our own time, off campus. You have no right to like you get all butthurt and accuse of, and then they threatened to ban us for forever because of that. It's like, wow, how dogmatic, how fascist. I mean, we were just doing that because you didn't have enough food for us to do what we needed to do to survive and thrive there. So we were just doing what we needed to do to feed ourselves. How horrible of people are you guys, telling us that we must force ourselves to stay raw and starve. So anyway, yeah, we ate that food and I felt good because I knew the next day it was going to. Yeah, it was like, remember how on the second to last day there was like a running challenge, like a marathon through the woods there. Did you do that? That big loop?
Oh yeah. I did. Right, I remember it. I didn't do it. I was doing some like other activity, but you did that?
Well, I wanted to make sure I had enough energy. I don't want to go in there undercarbed and like, pass out or anything like that. So I ate a bunch. Scarfed up on that rice the night before. And yeah, I did the run. Unfortunately, I have horrible running shoes for running through technical terrain like that, and I hit some wet creek area and twisted my ankle like in the first mile or something like that.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
so that quit me out.
No fun. Yeah, gosh, yeah, all the drama, and I don't even like want to talk about it, man. It's just so petty, and like it was so sad that all the drama that came out of that.
Yeah.
I totally understand like respecting the festival for what it is. You wouldn't want to bring cooked food on there, like respect it for what it is. But you guys were off campus, like in a hotel in privacy, like doing your own thing, like eating rice. You know what I mean?
We waited 5 days. We gave them the benefit of the doubt. Every time going there, optimistic that it's going to be different today, and every day was the same thing. It's like, okay, no, I'm hungry.
Yeah, it was a week-long festival, right? Yeah, so it's not like we were there for like just a day. If people are getting the wrong impression, it was like a whole week. You spent the night. I spent the night there in the cabin. But yeah, it was like a whole weekend full of activities, and all you ate was fruit and vegetable. And I knew that going into it. Like I was like, a week I could last for it. But it's tough when you include like activity on top of it. Now there are people I think that could do it, right? Like Michael Arnstein, who put on the event. Like super fit guy. He's done the Spartathlon. Mm-hmm. He's done a bunch of like huge events. Like very athletic guy.
Not to take anything away from his athletic accomplishments. Yeah.
And I've lost touch with the guy, but last I remember he was 100% raw and was working for him. So you can make it work, but it does take a lot of work because it's not just about buying the fruit. It's about buying enough fruit. Then it's about storing the fruit. It's about making sure the fruit is ripe.
Or not too ripe.
There's a lot of things
that you have to do.
Yeah, not too ripe. Making sure your food's not spoiling, so you're not like losing out on money. And if you got a family, I mean, fruit's not the cheapest food on the market.
It definitely isn't. No, we did the whole thing. We knew how it becomes your life in the sense of all those things you described there that take a lot of time. So much easier to buy some bag of rice and potatoes and they don't go bad that quickly. Your veggies are in the fridge, so you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about food all the time. When you're raw, it's a lot more work to make sure everything's cool. And I see some people saying, well, someone else can do it. We're not saying it's not doable. Someone says like Mark Tassi does cycling and raw. Yeah, cool. We're not saying it's not doable, but it's a lifestyle that many people simply just don't want to commit to time-wise, effort-wise, or you just can't do it. They have families, jobs. It's just not practical for some.
Yeah, I don't want to take away. I mean, I know plenty of people that do it, and I've got no problem with them. I'm friends with them. If it works for them, I don't care. Like, I mean, my biggest passion is to get people healthy and to get them to go vegan, to help them realize that eating a plant-based diet is good for them, the animals, the
Yeah.
planet. Whether you eat like potatoes, rice, corn, whether you eat just fruit and vegetables, whether you eat like Beyond Burger once a week, like I honestly don't care as long as like the big picture's there. You're watching what you're eating. You care about the animals and the environment, or at least you don't like do anything harmful to them. Like you know what I mean?
I
Like
agree.
it's just like, yeah, who cares who's
That's what
raw
I
and
tell
who's
people
not?
too. I mean, I say this with all sincerity, as radical as it may sound. I'm vegan. I got into vegan because of the animals, and it's still the number one priority for me. Even though I'm equally as passionate about the environment and our health. But I always tell people, hey, if you're vegan and you're raw, cool. If you're vegan and junk food vegan, cool. Maybe not the best way to be vegan, but
Right,
awesome. I'm happy. It doesn't matter to
right,
me.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's like what you put in your body, it's completely your choice. But unfortunately, it's not the animal's choice
Yes.
to be, on your
So
plate,
some
and that's
So
that's
some,
that's up to you. So
I was gonna
like,
say, some people
yeah,
take that to mean that I think raw is bad. That I'm against raw. It's like, no, I'm glad you're not eating animals, even though you may or may not be approaching raw from a ethical standpoint. I really don't care. Animals don't care that if you're ethical or not. They don't give a crap. They don't even maybe understand ethics. They're
right.
just glad to not be eaten.
Right. I mean, there's people that refuse to call themselves vegan, but by definition, they are. So I'm like, I could care less if you want to call yourself vegan, if you want to call yourself plant-based, but dude, you're doing the lifestyle, so that's what
Yeah,
matters,
yeah, I would
you
say
know?
that too. I don't care what you call it. They don't like the term vegan. Cool. Don't call yourself vegan. Call yourself Z-Box 7. It doesn't matter. As long as the animals aren't getting eaten, they don't care what you call yourself. Just don't eat the animals.
Right. For sure. Yeah, but I mean, there's all, the health benefits, like from my perspective of like what I do, it's like insane that you can reverse the leading cause of death in the world, heart
Oh,
disease,
did you show
cancer.
any of
You
your
can reverse
professors back at nutrition school how you can actually not only prevent, but you can actually reverse heart disease, progression of atherosclerosis, of clogged arteries, and there's photographic evidence that proves this. And there's no other diet in the world that has such evidence. Have you shown this to your teachers? And if so, what did they say?
It's like talking to a
They
wall,
don't think
man.
it's
They
a big
just
deal.
would
It's the
not
leading cause
budge.
of death, number one, and they just all blasé and flippant about it.
They didn't believe me. I
They
was
didn't
just
believe
some
you.
young, stupid, like 21-year-old,
You could just
student in their
print out
eyes.
the
Like,
paper for them, and here it is.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, money obligations, like that I suspected that professor of like, yeah, you got a lot at stake if you're testing animals, if that's how you're making your living. So that's a bias. I didn't know if it was like, like you learn a certain way and you tend to respect all of, the time that you invested in your education. So I didn't know if it was people that didn't want to budge because of that. I didn't know if it was people that were just completely misinformed or ignorant. I don't know what it
Here's
is,
a
but I didn't really find the only person that sort of listened to me and I really wanted to interview him was what was he? He was a biology professor, and I think he was a cardiologist
oh
outside of that, but then he went to teach biology. So I was like, oh, cardiologist. Okay, I'm going to talk to this guy about heart
yes.
disease. So I went up to him and I mentioned Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Ornish. She's like, oh, yeah, we've known about this for years. I'm like, what? What? You know about this? Awesome. Like, would you be down to like talk to me about this? He wasn't vegan, and like he acknowledged that like what I was saying was correct. He's like, but I don't think it's gonna work for everybody. It's like, okay, but I'm
They should.
like, but I really wanted to talk to him. It just didn't end up working out. He retired like after I was the last like student in his class, like in that class. Like we were the last one, so like he just
I hate
retired after
that
that.
excuse that doctors will give about like offering a vegan diet as a treatment option for their disease, and it wouldn't work for everyone. Well, at least let people know. Just don't. censor that option because you're afraid that some people reject it.
Right.
Some people will go, phooey, and others might say, hey, if that's the difference between me spending time with my grandson or not, give me the plans. Let the patient, let the person make that decision. Don't make it for them. Pros Not Pills asked a really good question. What did you say there? Were your professors healthy? Well, you might not know if they're healthy, but could you tell that they seem to appear to not have major preconditions for disease as far as you could tell? How were these resistant professors in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be rude or derogatory or anything, but a lot of them were overweight. And these are people teaching nutrition, biology, biochemistry. It is what it is. I'm not gonna hate on anyone for that.
If they were,
but yeah, and I don't know about any health problems. They would never mention that. Who knows? I think a lot of people would benefit from it. I just wish they were more open-minded about it. Also, I'm getting all these flashbacks as we're talking about this. I don't talk about this stuff anymore. So I remember in one of my lectures, this was one of my first nutrition courses. I was sitting in there and I was getting goosebumps because one of the professors was literally repeating Dr. McDougall up there, how all the long, successful civilizations, in the past have grown up, have gotten to where they are today by eating starches. And he went through the different parts of the world, talked about what starches this part of the world ate and what this part of the world ate. And it was like listening to Dr. McDougall. And then, of course, he transitioned into all the other most commonly known BS, eating meat and all this stuff. And I don't think it really clicked. I think it was just a little part of his presentation, but I really enjoyed it. And, I went to talk to him about it. He didn't really know Dr. McDougall.
Oh, wow.
Surprisingly.
But he's saying the same thing.
I thought he was saying the same thing. Yeah. So interesting, but.
Oh,
yeah.
Other stuff we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about raw stuff too much. I know a lot of the Woodstock people and the raw people started hating on me because, again, I've never said, hey, if you're raw, you're a bad person or your diet sucks butt or anything. I've never made any claims like that. I've made videos debunking or showing the lack of scientific evidence for some of the more extreme claims that come from the raw leaders, such as cooked food is an addiction. And I know raw people who will swear up and down how cooked food is addicting. Yet once we've covered what is addiction and does cooked food fit that description? What do you think of cooked food being addicting?
I mean, it's what do you consider an addiction? I've been playing guitar a lot in the past couple of days for being quarantined. Does that mean I'm becoming more addicted to playing guitar? I don't know. There's I think it's hard. I think addiction can cause withdrawal. One thing I learned about with this whole coronavirus thing, it's so interesting, man. And people may laugh at me learning about this, but I haven't. I stopped drinking when I was 21, so forgive me. But it's why are alcohol stores open and why are they delivering during this crisis? Why are they making such a big deal out of promoting, we can deliver you alcohol during this crisis. Don't worry, we got you covered. Well, somebody pointed out, well, yeah, that's because if they're an alcoholic, they can go into withdrawal and get a lot of trouble. It's oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. So the poison is medicine in a way for some of these people. And they actually have to drink a little bit to slowly wean themselves off.
That's
and
the
it's
definition of addiction, physical dependency. And once you no longer have that substance that you're physically dependent on, there are withdrawal symptoms. And I've never heard of potatoes or steamed broccoli or legumes producing withdrawal symptoms or a physical dependency or any of the sort. It's just a food we eat because it's good, it's filling. It's just a food we eat. Doesn't mean it's addicting.
Yeah.
I mean, I could stop eating legumes for months and I'll be fine. I'm not. Maybe my health will deteriorate slightly, perhaps, but it's not like I'm going to be going and breaking into my neighbor's house and trying to look through their pantries.
Right. I mean, none of us are arguing about the benefits that fruits and vegetables have. They're like the most important food. Like I would say even more important than potatoes. And like you can live off of just fruits and vegetables, okay? You can. Like they have like essentially every vitamin and mineral, but supplementing, it's not even supplementing. Like having a starch-based diet that includes fruits and vegetables is also important because they provide you with a bulk of your energy. Like I said before, like you would have to eat so much fruit to sustain your activity. Like if, like for example, if you want to like ride your bike, right? And I'm not saying like I'm like, you know, there's no cyclists out there that eat a raw diet. There are, but it's like they have to eat a lot more fruit to sustain that. Now, if you're living a busy lifestyle and you know you're like working and like burning through a lot of calories and stuff, eating a starch-based diet is going to give you more calories. If you're trying to put on more muscle, and again, I'm not saying like people can't build muscle, fruits and vegetables. My friend Mike Vlacity, you know, I met him back in Woodstock Fruit Festival too, and he was, you know, building good muscle on a raw vegan diet. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying it's a little bit harder, and it's also like, I mean, you can get more protein by eating beans, right? And you can grow your build muscle easier if you do that. And there's no harmful effects by eating these foods. Like they argue like it's addicting. Okay, let's say it's addicting.
All right.
What are the negative effects? Like what's going to happen to me if I eat potatoes? I'm not going to get diabetes because we know that's caused by fat, having too much fat in the blood, and then the sugar gets blamed because it's circulating in the blood, can't get into the cell because of insulin resistance.
If the potatoes were to cause diabetes, so would bananas and mangoes and strawberries and everything like that.
Right.
I was asked, like, what? Just tell me, what disease, what risk factor am I more at risk? You know, how will my health suffer in any way from eating potatoes and legumes and rice and steamed broccoli? How will I lose a day of my life? How? And there's no science whatsoever. And that's why I come back to the point: why unnecessarily make your diet so restrictive? Why eliminate whole groups of food that have been shown to be healthy? I mean, like legumes are associated with longevity. You know, potatoes, you could live off potatoes. You could model them if you wanted to. I mean, why leave off? Why avoid healthy foods? That's what I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I think. So I interviewed Dan Buettner. He's the author of the Blue Zones, and the Blue Zones, like if some of you guys know, the Blue Zones are different parts of the world that those people live to 100 years or older, or around 100 years.
Centenarians.
Heck, who wouldn't want to live up to like 100 years old? But it's not like just hitting that age. It's like quality of life. Like they're moving around up until that age. So he was sharing like what these people do is they eat a predominantly plant-based diet, and that includes sweet potatoes, it includes lots of beans, it includes fruits too, and vegetables, of course. But on the other hand, to be quite frank with everyone, they also drink wine, they eat meat, they eat fish. But does that mean we should drink wine, eat meat, eat fish? No. It's just an observation. What they're doing mostly, though, is they're eating a plant-based diet. That's what we want to look at, is what is the majority of the thing that they're consuming, not the little itsy bitsy piece of meat that they're eating.
Point out, one of the centenarian groups is the traditional Okinawans, and their diet's been studied, and approximately 3% of their calories come from non-plant sources. I mean, that's their meat and stuff. 3% of their calories.
Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, for sure. So that, like, I'm, just getting back to the point, like it's the whole food plant-based diet, like the non-processed stuff that they eat, that is helping them eat, helping them reach that age. And I don't know what point I was trying to make, but eat whole plant-based foods. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree 100%.
Like, you don't have to eat. Yeah, you don't have to eat just a raw vegan diet to be healthy. You can, and if you want to, you can pull it off. But you can be just as healthy by eating a whole food plant-based diet like the centenarians do.
And so many raw vegans don't like to hear that, and they'll think I'm being a dick or something when I say that. It's like, no, it's just a true fact.
Yeah, for sure. I think if people like are really for the raw vegan thing, though, like I salute you. Like, do it. Like, be passionate and talk about it. Try not to like bring down a whole food plant-based diet or a vegan diet to like raise, points for the raw
The
vegan
raw
thing.
diet's
No,
great.
just talk about it's good enough. Like, you don't need to talk about like all the other stuff. Like, focus on the benefits of a raw vegan diet. And heck, dude, if you like, if you're so passionate about it, like go to nutrition school or like some sort of, health
Hmm.
field and like practice this stuff, like coach people on it. If you can be part of a study, we need more studies with raw vegan diets, I think, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
there needs to be more science.
There's plenty of studies with like benefits of fruits and vegetables, but and also, I think there's a lot of fields here to explore. But just do it, man. Like talk, like be passionate, like go full into it, but you don't have to like bring down the vegan or the whole food plant-based thing to just, make raw vegan look good. I don't know if that
No,
makes
it makes
sense. And
sense.
I hope I'm not coming off as like,
No,
an
I mean
arrogant asshole or
that's
anything
why
like.
a lot of the community, the raw community, is mad at me because I've challenged some of these assumptions that they have about cooked food being addictive or potatoes are mucus form. All these things that you hear that are just not really supported by science. And again, as you and I have been saying, like, yeah, raw is fine. In fact, I like to say I eat more raw food than a lot of raw food people because I know a lot of raw food people like fast and stuff like that. I'll start my day off with like
Yeah.
when bananas are plentiful, which they're not for me right now. Well, like 900 calories, 1,000 calories of bananas, all raw food in the morning. I'm kicking butt with my raw
Right.
food. It's not like I'm afraid of it or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, we have pointed out like why restrict other food groups that are healthy, plant-based ones, because of all there's so much as we talked about earlier too. It's a very kind of if you want to do it, you can. I'm not saying it's wrong, but yeah, it's a difficult lifestyle to pull off, acquiring all the food, storing it, ripening it, and all that. And as you said, it can be for some people challenging to get enough calories, which leads me to my next topic I wanted to talk to you. It all connects over is the last year, 2019, we saw a lot of people, a lot of vegans or so-called vegans make videos entitled "I'm no longer vegan." What'd you think about that? What'd you
Oh
think about
yeah.
that whole movement or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I even made one video too. I was like trolling people. Um, but yeah, it's surprising like how many people came out and ditched the vegan thing. I mean, not gonna make anyone go vegan or stay vegan, that's for sure. But and it's been happening for years. But honestly, and I talked about it in my video, it's like if you're gonna go vegan to like post like butt photos on Instagram with like inspirational quotes, and trying to get people to like
Oh
your
man, that's so
account.
true.
That's
That is
like the
so true,
wrong.
man.
I'm sorry, like that's what most of these people who like come out and quit. I feel like that's what they're doing. You got to do it for the right reasons. I think educating yourself through the awesome documentaries that are out there, whether it's Forks Over Knives, Earthlings, Cowspiracy, Game Changers, which came out last year. Educate yourself and find out, is this what I want to do for the right reasons, or are you just doing it just to like test out the waters and try something new? I mean, it's fine if you want to just try
Yeah.
it, but know like the whole picture of like, what the impact of this lifestyle can do. And I think once you understand that, like I've seen animals being slaughtered with my own eyes. You know what I mean? Like I've ridden through farms. I've seen like little veal in cages, and I've gone up and petted them to like just offer them some sort of, you know what I mean? It's hard. Like there's like something inside of me that like is like triggered. It's touch like when I see animals being suffered. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be an effing monster. Like I want to do the best that I can to show compassion and just to be an ethical dude, and like the environment too. I would hate to see it, you know, I would hate our planet, our only planet, our pale blue dot that is going through this big dark universe. I would hate for that to go away. I mean, it's not probably going to go away within our generations, but I don't want to like screw the other generations that are coming down beneath me. So I'm just trying to live my life as best as I can, and I feel like this lifestyle is definitely helping it. So try to like really understand, the impact that this has on not just your health, but like
I
everyone
agree. You
around you.
touched upon the concept of compassion for all sentient beings as essential concept of veganism, which is really amazing because that's a central tenet of Buddhism, which if I identify with a religion, it is Buddhism. But it's compassion not only for the sentient beings known as like the animals, like we don't want to see them suffer. Also, sentient beings as far as humans, as you said, you don't want to see the children of today suffer on a planet that's been so degraded that it's dying, degraded from our dependence on fossil fuels and animal agriculture, which is the number one source of greenhouse gas emissions. According to the United Nations, it's not some crazy radical vegan statistic or anything like that. So yeah, we want to see all life not suffer. I want to emphasize that compassion extends beyond animals. It's to humans as well, and to our planet. The suffering we're causing not just for farm animals, but for the natural nature animals. We're destroying their habitat, their rainforests. It's all about compassion, and I encourage people to seek out more compassion in their heart. I mean, we all have it. Hopefully, develop it, nurture it, because I think that's what, at least for me, that's what inspires me to do what I do.
We all have it in us. It's like any other emotion. Like people who are scared to cry, people who are scared to smile, like people who are afraid to show their anger and they're just holding it inside. It's like essentially the same thing. Like you just have to like get to know yourself and to embrace these different emotions. You have them for a reason, and by suppressing them, you're not doing yourself any good. So when these people like see these like poor animals getting hurt and they feel it inside, because every one of us feels it inside unless you're like a psychopath or something.
Out there, yeah.
They're just suppressing it essentially. So get to know yourself, and get in touch with your emotions. They're there for a reason. And like you said, it's not just the animals, but it's about other humans too. Like all these crops that we're growing, they're going to feedlots. They're going to animals that we're raising for meat, while we could be sending those plants, that food, to starving people.
Why grow enough food to feed 15 billion people, which far exceeds, there's only like 8.8 billion people, when still billions of people are hungry. So people that have the means can buy meat and other animal products.
Right. Yeah, it's not fair, it's not sustainable, it's not ethical. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what we stand for. That's why like Ryan and I are so passionate about this, is because we want people to understand that, and we want people to be informed. And neither of us can make anybody go vegan, but hopefully we can inspire them to go vegan. And so we just want to like inform people about this info, and that's
why
it.
I'm not concerned. I have no fear that one day I'm going to flip on YouTube, look at my subscription feed, and see Bananiac, why I am no longer vegan. Unless it's April Fool's. I just did that on April Fool's. A lot of people strangely like believed me, at least for a while. Some people said they unsubscribed and came back once they realized I was joking. I mean, I'm never going to make one of those videos, guys. Just write it down. Unless it's for a joke for April Fool's. And I'll let you know I'm joking. I even said in the title, why quit being vegan since like February 30th or something like that. There's no February 30th, but so I already put the hint in the title. But anyway, you're never gonna see a video from me or Tino. Have no fear. Anyone watching, write it down, put it in cement. You will never see any of us, me or Tino, make a video like that. But let's get back to some of these people. We don't have to mention anyone by name. The ones who did make such a video last year. I made my videos responding to them. Did you notice things that maybe cause them, besides like doing it for butt pictures on Instagram? Did you see anything like they're doing diet wise or lifestyle wise that may have led to them no longer wanting to be vegan?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's like clear as day. One of the biggest things, and I think this is a common mistake a lot of people make, is not getting enough calories, right? It's not eating enough food that's going to provide you energy to make you feel good about what you're doing. And you try it for like a week and you're like, yeah, this vegan thing, it's not really working for me. Of course, they weren't doing it for a week. They were doing it for a little bit longer, but they were doing really crazy stuff. And I don't even want to mention like the stuff that they were
We
doing,
know it
man.
was extreme
But
stuff
you and I,
usually, yeah.
yeah, really extreme like starvation and like just really, yeah. So as long as you eat enough, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna feel good about what you're doing. You don't have to like starve yourself, and that's a great thing about this diet. Uh, eat lots of starches. That's why we're promoting starches and not just a raw vegan thing. Although I want to keep saying this, like, yeah, you could do the raw vegan thing if it works for you, cool. But in general, for most people, they're going to feel really good by eating a starch-based diet. That's rice, corn, whole grain pasta, quinoa, potatoes, sweet potatoes, of course, legumes like
Chickpeas.
beans, peas, lentils. Eat
More
more
of
chickpeas,
them.
less.
More chickpeas.
less
Whatever you're eating right now, eat
after.
more. It's funny. I had on the bodybuilder
Yeah.
Brian Turner on. He lives in San Diego, and for several years on his channel, he had a YouTube house where he invites other vegans to come and live with him. And I'm not going to call anyone out, but yeah, two quite popular female raw vegan type girls stayed in the YouTube house with him, so he got to watch firsthand how they ate. And I asked him about that, and he said pretty much he saw lots of like what you said, under eating, not get enough energy, not enough calories. So he can
Yeah,
back
for
that
sure.
suspicion up.
Yeah. I don't really know why that is. I don't know if it's like, maybe those girls were trying to like, have a certain figure, a certain look for their brand. I honestly don't know what it is, or if they just believe like, eating, like if it was like some sort of anorexia mentality either. I don't know, but like that's like, again, the good thing about this diet is you can eat pretty much until you're full.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing called calorie density, and I think this is one of the most important things that you can learn about in nutrition. And that's when you take each food and you like level out the weight. So let's say we had 100 grams of every food ever to exist. Okay. The highest calorically dense food is oil, a refined type of fat. It's 9 calories per gram. And then you have like all of your vegetables on the other hand. They're very low in calories. You have, fruits there, you have your whole grains, you have your beans, and then you have nuts and seeds. Like those are the foods you want to concentrate on, not the other foods that are high in calories like animal products, especially dairy products, and oils. Like you want to keep those away. So if you're eating lower calorically dense foods, you're probably going to have to eat more, in fact.
Your stomach will feel full sooner because it's filled up to the same capacity as before, but the caloric density of that food in your belly is lower.
Exactly. Yep. We all have the same amount of real estate to fill up in our stomach. If you're filling it up with lots of meat and lots of animal products, the calories are way high. If you're filling that same stomach up with lots of vegetables, lots of whole grains, beans, those calories are going to be lower. And if you just eat that, if you eat always to satisfaction on a whole food plant-based diet, and if you're coming off of a meat-based diet, you're going to lose weight. It's really amazing. And over time, your weight's just going to level out. You're going to get used to eating that amount of food and getting those calories. But do not restrict your calories. That is formula for disaster.
Yes.
I hope that
emphasize to people that a vegan diet is not a weight loss diet. It's a moral, ethical stance. And it also happens to be a really healthy diet if you eat whole food plants. And it also happens to be a diet that over time people tend to get to a good body weight if they weren't at one already. But it's not like an Atkins diet, a ketogenic diet where you're losing all this water weight and you're usually under eating and stuff like that, calorie restricting to some degree. We're talking about eating till you're full and being healthy, and the weight typically comes off. Tracy, our moderator, who's not on right now, but I know she's going to watch later on tonight, had the same experience. She lost, and her husband, like 80 pounds each without doing anything different, eating till they're full. It just happened naturally.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have lost weight, and that's like probably the biggest benefit that people see. I hear about better digestion as well. People that might be having like real bad acne or skin problems, that tends to clear up. I'm not saying this is like a magic bullet or, magic potion or anything like that, but it certainly helps with a lot of health issues. And yeah, for sure. It's a great thing for your
a lot of
body.
these channels that we're talking about, particularly, and I'm not calling them out, but some of these girls' channels, the ones that Brian saw at his YouTube house, and a few others I can think of, who are still vegan, actually, really pitch it as a weight loss diet. I just see all these videos coming out in the past and in the present ones who are still vegan about how to eat a vegan diet for maximum weight loss and stuff like that. And they get more views, more followers than most of us like you and I get. I guess maybe that's why a lot of these people do go down that road. It's very it's, you get more views and popularity and stuff like that, but that's not why we're into it. You and I are into the fact, evidence-based part of the diet and the ethical, moral aspects of veganism. That's why we're into it. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see me showing any butt shots on Instagram and with some inspirational quote about how I accept who I am and I love myself and that kind of stuff. It's just
yeah, man. It's sad, but I think they market it that way because a lot of people, like, it's a real soft spot in them, because like most of our population, at least here in the U.S., is overweight and obese.
2 out of 3 people.
It strikes a chord with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people want to lose weight. Well, the good thing is you don't necessarily even have to try, as long as the trying part has to be like eating a whole food plant-based diet, but that's basically it. Like, you don't have to like pay attention to how many calories you're eating and all this stuff. Like, as long as you're eating whole plant-based foods, it's just like it's like a side benefit almost. It's like you're bound to get it, but that's not like the ultimate goal. If that makes sense.
Tips. Let's give our tips, Tino, for people who are coming to veganism. Maybe they're coming from the more of they want to lose some weight angle. And here's what I'll say. Yeah, as everything I said, it's not a weight loss diet per se. It's not a calorie restricting diet. I agree with Tino. Eat until you're full. But if you want to try to maybe help that weight loss along, make sure you're doing some kind of physical activity. That's what I noticed between people who are kind of like frustrated they're not really losing any weight yet, and those who are getting some of those results is the level of activity. And if you're already if you're not athletic yet, if you're out of shape, take your time. It takes a while to get fit, especially if you've been sitting on the couch for years. So do exercise at the rate that you can build up. And I would suggest, I do all sorts of sports, but if weight loss is your primary goal, the cardiovascular, the aerobic sports like running, cycling, swimming, stuff like that, as opposed to like basketball or weight training, which I do all of these, so I can speak firsthand about them. So yeah, regular activity. And let's see. What am I leaving out, Tino? Any other advice? Oh yeah, diet-wise, no oil, 0 oil, high carb, low fat, and barely just toss out the oil if you really want to accelerate your weight loss gains. Any other tips, Tino?
Yeah, good point there. It depends. Like, if you're just getting into this, just focus on eating whole plant-based foods. But it depends like how like refined you want to make this thing. I mean, you can go really nuts and like avoid like any sort of processing, like smoothies and all that. Just you'll find what works for you long term. You don't have to like restrict yourself all the way to no smoothies. And it also depends on like if you have any health problems. Like Dr. Esselstyn, I know he likes to take it like very extreme. No nuts, of course, no oil, like you said. No smoothies, no juices, and he's doing that specifically to help people with heart disease. He doesn't want to take any chance on the leading cause of death. So if you think that's extreme, try an open heart surgery. Like, I think, in my opinion, in his opinion,
that's way more
extreme
than eating plants.
Yes. So it depends like where you come from, but for the general population, just like vary it up, make it fun too. That's the other thing. It's like, you don't want to eat the same thing over and over again. Try finding a few recipes, and you don't need a whole lot, but just a few that you can kind of like
Staples that you
cycle
come back
through.
to all the time.
Right, yeah. And maybe it's like a potato dish, a pasta dish, something with like rice and beans, or you can make tacos. Maybe you can learn how to make veggie burgers. And I know you guys have an awesome ebook with plenty of recipes. Like, just look for resources like that can help you learn more about cooking delicious recipes that use healthy whole foods, making it exciting. And again, you don't have to go overboard and make like a new recipe every single day for the rest of the month or rest of the year or whatever. Just find a few that work.
Vegan can be a weight loss diet if you just eat in a certain way without restricting yourself. And when you get down to it, it is a moral stance, a moral view, but there's nothing that's incompatible about having a healthy body weight as a vegan. I've ever since when we met, we're all into like running and cycling and stuff like that. You've been doing a little bit more weight training now too, like I have. Is that right? Have I been seeing some more gym work?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I noticed you were doing it too. It's funny how but we never even like communicated that to each other, but we both picked it up, I feel, at the same time.
What was your motivation?
Yeah. But so it was actually by losing too much weight. So that's a problem with this lifestyle, is that you could lose too much weight. So don't go too overboard with the cardio. And listen, man, I love cycling, but doing cycling since I think I started in 2013 or 2012, around the same time I went vegan. I was doing it a lot, like every single week. I was losing a lot of weight and a lot of muscle, and so I just felt like I would change things up, and I started lifting weights. I wanted to build actually not just like more like mass, but like more strength. I wanted to like feel more solid, and it actually does help on the bike, like for sprinting and like quick acceleration stuff. So I've been doing more of that, and also more of rock climbing. It's something I've been like on and off with rock climbing, but I've been trying to stay more on it now. I really love it, the technical aspect of things, and like that's also really good for building strength and just like working on your holds and stuff like that, and also transfers to weightlifting more and cycling. So I found a good little balance, but it was really to build more like strength and feel stronger.
I have no regrets. I've been enjoying the strength work I've been putting at the gym for the past 2.5 years now. It's made me a better athlete. Yeah, sure, I'm not as quick of a runner or cyclist as I used to be, and I attribute that more just I haven't putting the time into that as I was back before hitting the gym. But yeah, I feel great. I feel awesome now. 52. I have no regrets.
Oh, you're rocking it, man. Like, I think you can probably like, back this up too. But yeah, like my times like going up a hill, they're not as quick anymore. But I'm also not training to be a Tour de France winner. You know what I mean? Like, I found a balance, and with balance, there's give and take. So I'm really happy where I am now. Yeah, I'm a little bit slower on the bike. Who cares? Like, I'm not trying to show off or hit a certain power number anymore. Like, that mentality is like completely gone. I just want like overall like
it's about letting the ego go after a while. Like, it's good. The ego can help motivate and drive you, and after a while put it in perspective. Do I really need to like top my best 5K time or beat a certain climb up a mountain that I did a couple years ago? And I know what kind of training that would entail to be at that state again. It's a lot of work, but you ask yourself, is it worth it? For you, for some of you, it might be, if that's what you really want to do. For others, you might have other goals in life. After a while, it's like, screw it. I was a really fast runner. For me, it's all relative, like about 4 or 5 years ago. And every year after that, it's like, God, do I want to train that hard to be as good as I was then? And it's frustrating not being there. So I just moved on to other goals, And so, I've said just let the ego go. If you don't have to be like, Tour de France level, considering none of us will ever get a job as a professional cyclist or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish, but no, it was like, it's fun to go all into something, and maybe at certain times it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to
It
experience
is.
that
Yeah.
ego in a way. I remember when I was living in Miami, I was like riding almost every single day. I had a little crew down there. We would ride together. I would race every weekend. Like
Hmm.
that was a cool lifestyle, and that was all in. That was like no weightlifting. Like it was all about staying lean and hitting a certain power number and a certain heart rate. It was about all of that. But I could only sustain that for so long. Like I wasn't training to be a professional cyclist, so like I had other things to do. I wanted to invest my time into doing more like YouTube and to build more strength. I was like studying, like I needed to like balance things out a little bit more. And so I just started to look at my life overall, and it just made
Yeah, I
sense.
think it's good too. As we all are getting older, it's good to have some strength, some muscle on the body. I'm not saying we all have to go out there and look like power lifters or anything like that. We're just talking about having a modicum of strength is never a bad thing. And in fact, I've seen some of these world-class endurance athletes in the off season. They take a break, and then the first thing they do after coming back from the break is do a weight training cycle before they get back out on the road again. And as you pointed out too, sprinters, you said,
Right, right.
the muscles have helped your sprinting. Yeah, if everyone has a stereotype usually of like a skinny little cyclist, and that's your like, your GC, general contender, your climbers. But if you look at the sprinters, they're strong looking dudes typically. I mean, relatively, yeah, they don't look like bodybuilders, but for cyclers, you see their muscles bulging out of their jerseys, and it's a different body type.
They look good. Yeah, in my opinion, they look good.
Oh my
Like
God,
Peter
that's
Sagan,
a
like
physique to
he's got
have,
a
right?
solid. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like you wouldn't want to look like him, and like you said, he's not massive. He's not a bodybuilder by any means, but the dude looks good. He doesn't look like an anorexic dude walking around. Like if somebody saw Chris Froome, the winner of the Tour de France for
Yeah.
many years, mind you, like you would be worrying about him. Like you'd be like, dude, you okay? Like I haven't heard from you in a while. You eating? Like you
The
good?
typical climber's body for
So
sure. Yeah, I mean it
anyway,
helps going fast up giant mountains and stuff like that. But yeah, Peter Sagan's body. If any,
right,
really, no reasonable male would be bummed to have Peter Sagan's body, unless you really wanted to look like a specific
right.
bodybuilder type or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or you had a specific purpose or
Mm,
goal in mind. Like, there's no way Peter Sagan can ever win the Tour de France,
yeah.
but he's cool with that, and he trains and looks the way he does for his specific goal, and that's to like beat the sprints, the
Yeah,
short
Peter Sagan,
sprints.
for those who don't know who he is, he's probably the most versatile cyclist of all time. He always wins the green jersey at the Tour de France, which is the sprinting slash accumulation of points. Yeah, for how many times has he won that thing? It's just like every time he enters. The only time I remember
Oh
him not
God,
winning was when he
yeah,
was disqualified a few years ago for a bullshit elbow to Mark Cavendish, which I don't think was right. But anyway,
yeah,
other than that, the guy always wins it, and he can do everything. He can climb, just not world class elite level, but he can climb really well. I've seen him. He actually won
right,
the Tour de California here a few years back. I saw him climb his ass up. I wasn't there. I was watching on TV up the Mount Baldy
yeah,
climb. Because he knew he could win. He made that he won.
right.
He placed well on the climb. He didn't win the climb, but he won the GC. But when he got done with that climb, though, he fell off his bike and started puking. That's how hard he went.
Yeah, yeah, he's a well-balanced athlete. He's really good all-around cyclist, and he can climb. And that's another thing. Like we can get really nerdy now. That's another thing that you don't see with a lot of these sprinters is they can't climb. They can't climb at all. He's like usually the only one of the few that could actually like keep up somewhat
He can
with
hang
some
for a
of the
while. Yeah.
climbers. He might not go all the way,
The
but
reason why he's not a
yeah,
pure
for sure.
sprinter, as they say, he's like a weird sprinter, an
Yes.
all-around guy who has a really good sprint.
Right, right. Yeah, I love that guy, man. I have a signed jersey by him here, like off camera. But I went to California one year,
Oh, you did that
Windsor,
Peter Sagan
California,
ride?
like up north over.
Ah,
Yeah, I did it, and it was so cool. I spotted his bike in the crowd, like before the event started. Like everyone's
yeah.
like walking around, like got their bike gear. Like I spotted his bike just chilling. I was like, okay, if I follow the bike, I'll see Peter Sagan. So I did that, and then he came out of his like little like RV or whatever, and I was like, oh Peter, can you sign this for me?
Oh,
So
someone's
he did,
someone is in the
but it was
comments
funny.
asking you to show your shirt. What is your shirt here, Tino?
Oh, okay. So label. and it's a nerdy shirt. My mom got it for Christmas one year. So let's see what it says. It's hard to read upside down, but it says calories varies by serving size, total fat 50 grams. What out for too much oil? Oh, watch out for too much oil. Sorry, guys, it's hard to read.
I can read it here for you, I guess.
You
Yeah,
can.
yeah. But they can see it here. Yeah.
Yeah, cholesterol not found in plants, which is true.
Total carbohydrates, 320 grams, keep it carb.
Yeah. Isn't that
Dietary
cool?
fiber, 30 grams, regular AF. That's a hilarious shirt, man.
Look at the ingredients. Plant-based foods.
Compassion and love.
Compassion,
Where'd your mom
love.
find this shirt at? This shirt is
I
awesome.
have no idea.
Oh man, I love that shirt.
Yeah, whoever made it, it's freaking rad. I love it.
Well, I guess since I saw that question coming from our viewers here, let's start taking some questions from people in the comments. So if you want to start getting questions here, yeah, Tracy, our moderator. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Race Lover. Thanks for being here, guys. Yeah, I love that shirt. Tracy loves it. That's awesome. Let's see. So if we see we have any questions about what we're talking about here, or even something maybe we're not talking about here. Produce Not Pills is pretty sure that shirt is on Amazon.
Could be. I don't know.
Okay, Produce Not Pills. What does Tino usually eat? Give us a typical day in your life of eating.
Sure. I mean, I'll start off the day with like either like a bowl of cereal. And so what I've been doing lately is I've been making like smoothie bowls, right? So I'll do like oat milk in there, maybe about 2 cups. I'll do strawberries, blueberries. I'll put flaxseed meal in there, a little bit of maca powder. I put chia seeds. I put. I've been doing more protein powder. That's the other thing. So I don't know how people feel about that, but I've been experimenting with it, and I know that's not like a whole food, but I think that's been really good for me. Just adding like a little bit, not like going completely overboard with it. Just testing it out. So I'll put that in there, and it's like a peanut butter flavor. It's amazing. I make that into a smoothie, right? Oh, and bananas. I gotta add bananas in there.
Got
Okay,
it.
I make that into a smoothie. I pour it in a bowl, and then I put cereal in there. So instead of just putting like regular oat milk in there, I'll use like that smoothie as the base with the cereal. Besides that, what I've been on lately, and I'm actually going to post a vlog tomorrow, so people can go to my channel tomorrow to see this, but I've been eating this basic meal of quinoa, type of vegetable, usually broccoli or kale or spinach or Brussels sprouts, whatever, that varies. And then I've been like stir frying tofu on a nonstick pan, and I get stir fried for like about 15 minutes, and I'll marinate the tofu beforehand, like with turmeric, chili powder, paprika, like different like cumin, oregano, different like herbs and spices. Then I'll stir fry for about 15 minutes, and it's so crispy. It's amazing. People think I put oil in it. I show people in the video exactly how I make it, and I'll just eat that, and then I'll put like a little bit of like some sort of fat source in there, like either like a hummus or avocado or guacamole, just a little bit, and it's amazing. Besides that, that'll typically be a lunch. Dinner, I'll come back and I'll have like a pasta dish. So I've been on this like chickpea pasta kick, eat more chickpeas. I've been following Ryan's advice. So it's like a chickpea pasta, and I'll do like a marinara sauce, and I'll just add beans in there. So it's almost like a chili, but it's so quick and easy to make. And I'll pour that over the pasta, and I'll put in like some vegetable like steamed broccoli or Brussels sprouts or whatever. And that's pretty much my day. Also try to get some fruit in the day as well. Lately I've been eating lots of oranges, not because of like, I'm freaking out because of vitamin C, because vitamin C is like in like pretty much every fruit and vegetable. So you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, I just like oranges. So I've been on that lately. And that's typically a typical day. I also have this, 64-ounce fluid big thing, like a canister, a water bottle. I don't have it here with me. I would have showed you guys. But I'll have that throughout the day, and then just try to drink lots of water. So I'll go through like maybe 1.5 or 2 of those. And
Yeah, important. Stay
Yeah.
hydrated.
Yeah, yeah, but just I eat like very simple. There's nothing complicated about what I do. I'm not in there in the kitchen for like long hours, like preparing like all these complicated stuff. It's just simple stuff like you can pick up.
Yeah, I got to get you turned on to the. You said you have a protein powder that you've been adding to your breakfast.
Have you been trying
Dude,
some
I
or
got one that I love, man. I like it so
what
much.
is it?
It's. Have you heard of? Let me just put it on the browser here. These guys. Have you heard of Clean Machine? This Lentine.
Oh, dude, they're okay. I met the owner. He
Jeff.
lives in
Yeah, he's in
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
He's a vegan.
yeah,
It's a
dude.
vegan run company.
Yeah,
And what's really cool about this, I'm clicking learn more. You're talking about you're afraid of, you're kind of bummed it's not a whole food plant. This is essentially whole food plant. It's lentine, which
right.
is a water lentil and mixed with some pea protein. So it's not a bunch of weird isolates that all these
Right.
other vegan companies sell. This is a freaking
Oh, yeah,
whole
yeah.
food
That's the
plant.
other thing is I watch my like the protein powders that I get. I watch so it's not like some sort of isolate or really refined stuff. I try not to find ones with like a ton of sugar in there. So that's a really good one. I've tried it and I really like that one.
Yeah,
In a great company. Jeff is super cool. There was like I went to a vegan potluck like years ago in Fort Lauderdale, and that's where I met him. And yeah, that was cool.
yeah, and I'm working with them. I have an affiliate thing with them. It's our code is Happy Vegan, and I forgot what it is, like 20 or 25% off your orders. So if you go there, type that in. I literally have this stuff every day. I have more on days where I'm lifting. Like today, I did more push-ups and dumbbell curls, stuff like that. So I had a full scoop of it, which is like 20 grams of protein. On days where I
Yeah.
just do yoga or run, I'll put in half a scoop, so like 10 grams of protein. I love this stuff. Seriously, I can't, I hate to go without it. Some days I don't because I'll have oatmeal in the morning. I don't mix it in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been using this for about maybe 15 to 18 months, something like that, and it really started kicking in more gains at the gym for
Yeah.
me. And I just actually strangely because I've been doing smoothies since like since you and I met, so I know what
Yeah.
banana
Yeah.
smoothies are like. But since I put this stuff in, getting that extra 10 to 20 grams of protein, I actually just feel better. Like they say
Right.
protein is a little more satiating, perhaps. There's some studies that indicate that. But just for me, I
Oh
just
yeah.
feel more rounded. Like I don't feel like I get as hungry as quickly after it.
Oh yeah, dude. Dr. Bernard recommends that you should eat a protein in the morning.
Oh,
That's why I do those protein smoothies,
okay.
and that's the reason why is because they found that eating a little bit of protein, especially in the beginning of the day, is going to keep you more satiated throughout the day. So that could be a smoothie with protein powder. It could be tofu scrambled. It could be a bowl of beans, whatever. Like just eat it in the morning and you're going to feel a lot better. And I personally noticed that too. Have you? So it took me so long. I hesitated so long to try a protein
Me
powder
too.
because I was like in that mentality of
Me
like
too.
all whole foods, but again, like it's about your whole lifestyle. But anyway, after I started doing it, and you guys be the judge of your own body and your own results. Like I started to feel better. I started to build more muscle. And I'm seeing, the results slowly come in with this new thing that I'm doing with like weightlifting and rock climbing. Like I think it's really helping me out.
Well, you got to check him out. So I'm glad you met Jeff.
I
He's a
will.
legit dude, longtime vegan, a bodybuilding champion, really nice people at Clean Machine. So I like supporting a company that's run by vegans, making a great vegan product out of a whole food plant and in a super environmentally friendly way. It grows like to maturity within like 48 hours. They use pretty much recycled water or rainwater. I mean, there's just so many good things. And it's not just a protein supplement. It's just a whole food plant that happens to have an amino acid profile that's super similar to whey. It has omega-3s in the form of ALA. It's a super nutrient. I'm not selling. It's like a commercial, but it's got like just look at the vitamin profile.
I know what you mean.
It's just a
Yeah.
plant that happens to have all these things that vegans are should be concerned about. And as I made some videos about a few months ago, it was just recently discovered on a laboratory analysis by a major foods company who was considering putting lentine in some of their products, found out that there's bioavailable 3 forms of bioavailable B12 in it as well. So once I found that out, it's like the home run, of like finding the ultimate plant to take along with just reading regular whole food plants. And this is really, it's a whole food plant ground up.
Right, exactly. It's like my flaxseed meal. It's like ground flaxseed, right? I've talked to a lot of athletes. So if people are kind of like, if we're meeting for the first time, like I do a podcast where I talk with like pretty much everyone from all walks of life, like artists, doctors, athletes, literally anyone about veganism. So when I talk to the athletes, a lot of them do end up taking the protein powders. Like that's, there's no person in the gym who's like huge and like is building muscle that's not on protein. You know what I mean? Like, and you could certainly do it, but that's just like before. Like you just have to eat more of it, and if you're like really busy, it can be hard to do. But drinking plant-based, like a clean plant-based protein powder, it's not going to be bad for you. But yeah, if you're doing whey, if you're doing lots of isolates and concentrated forms of protein, like that could be really taxing on your kidneys and other parts of your body. But yeah, there's it definitely helps.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you told me about that study from the research that Dr. Bernard had there, because it just confirms what I've anecdotally sensed from my how I changed up my morning eating routine. Now I see another question for Tino. Tino, what's your Fight of the Concord song? I can see your sticker on the wall.
Okay, it's that right there. It's a little show. It only lasted for 2 seasons. 2 New Zealand guys, hilarious. If you guys are looking for a show, although I don't think they're on Netflix, but probably on Amazon, check them out. Flight of the Conchords. What was the question? What is my favorite song? Okay. Middle Earthling, I'm probably going to say my favorite song, and it's hard to say, but it's probably Business Time. And if you guys don't know the show, you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but go on YouTube, Business Time, Flight of the Conchords, so you'll see. But yeah, funny group of guys, just like 2 musicians trying to make it in the US and completely like failing. At the end of the show, they're like deported back to New Zealand. It's such a funny, like a little bit dry humor.
What's the name of the show? I'll check it out. What is it?
Flight of the Conchords.
Okay, that's the name. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I see.
So definitely check it out.
Our moderator, Tracy, loves Flight of the Conchords, and she asked a really good question because, we're all at home now. There is no gym to go to. So what exercises are you doing at home?
So I'm fortunate enough actually to have a gym in my house. Yeah. My brother and I, we invested in it, and it's actually, I made a whole video on it. It might be financially worth it to some people out there. I just like put it out, just documenting like how I created it. But anyway, we have a little home gym, so it's like a power rack. So with that, I can have my, rack my barbell on there and do bench press. I could do squats, deadlifts. I could do pull-ups. Let's see. And then I have a couple dumbbells that I use. So I have an app that I also use called Fitbod, and that's really good. It like helps keep track of like all my progress and stuff and generates workouts. So it knows if like I just did a chest day, it's not going to give me a chest day next time. It'll give me like legs or back. So I've just been weightlifting around home. I can't rock climb. And here's another thing I thought about. I'm not riding my bike on purpose. And it's not because I'm scared of like catching the coronavirus out cycling. It's because I'm scared that if I fall and break a bone, that if I'm heading to the ER, what a nightmare and mess that would be.
Yeah.
So just, caution anyone who's doing any risky stuff like cycling. I guess running's not as risky, but still, like, don't take chances with stuff like that, because the last place you want to be right now is the ER.
It's funny, I haven't really discussed this with anyone, but I've had the same kind of weighing this out in my mind too. Like, yeah, cycling's pretty safe, but if I take a spill on a hill going down, that could be really bad. I don't want to go near an ER. Right now, our whole goal right now is to not interface into the healthcare system, hospitals, because they're overwhelmed. There's people with that are sick there, could be transmitted. Who knows? So yeah, right now we just want to try our best to let the health professionals do their thing, treat the people who really need it, and maybe cut down on higher risk behaviors. Yeah, when I'm running, I'm making sure I'm not going to run out and get hit by a car. I've laid off the cycling a lot too lately.
Yeah, it's like. And I haven't been riding much anyway, and the weather is only now just starting to warm up here in Maryland. But I'm just like not taking any chances, and I think that some people are disregarding that. Like, yeah, it's safe, like coronavirus wise, to like be out by yourself. Like, you're probably good, but yeah, if you take a fall and you gotta head to the hospital, like, first of all, you don't know how quickly you'll be seen. You don't know who's gonna have the coronavirus there. Like, it's just. Yeah, I'm trying to stay far, far away from there.
I see others like Michael's not skateboarding good. I mean, yeah, all it takes is one rock and you've hit the pavement. Straight edge, vegan bell, yeah, not doing plyometrics right now. That's has been part of my workout routines, is to get some jumping and plyometric exercises in, which are generally safe, but it is a bit more high risk than, like, say, doing push-ups and bicep curls. So yeah, I'm kind of backed off the plyo and jumping for right now too. Oh, I saw Yakov ask this earlier. I don't know what this is. Can Tino, can you elaborate on Dr. Mills's message? What is Dr. Mills, Tino?
Yeah, Dr. Milton Mills. He's a doctor that lives and practices in Virginia. So I've interviewed him. I'm like pretty close with him, and he was featured on What the Health. Oh. Great guy, great doctor, and very passionate and knowledgeable. But I'm not quite sure what you mean by Dr. Mills' message.
I guess, does he have a general thing that he's about?
I mean, he's definitely a promoter of the whole food plant-based diet. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, maybe it's something he recently posted that I'm not aware of, but happy to talk about him. I mean, I've got nothing but good things to say about him.
And Sean Cope says, "You guys are awesome." So thank you. Thanks, Sean. I see.
You're awesome too, Sean.
I see others are out like Ugly Bob's cycling in Vancouver, but as I've noticed here, everyone's home. Very few people are working right now, so it's quite crowded out there. And our cycling, our bike paths here are often in Southern California on the banks of like rivers. They're like just little tiny they're not that wide. I'm saying, like, there's no social distancing. If you're gonna pass someone going the opposite direction, they're gonna be like 3 feet to either side of you or something like that.
Right. I've been to Long Beach for sure, and even like going towards is it Newport?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know like what I'm talking about, those bike paths along the riverbeds.
Yeah, that seemed like a really cool road, like on any healthy day to do. But I know what you mean. It's like so tight on the shoulder, and like passing them, you're like basically,
because you have a lot of noobs out there. They're just like goofing around with their babies and stuff like that. You got to get past them, but there's no room. I mean, especially if someone's coming head on in the opposite direction. So if I go cycle, I'm definitely not going to hit those up right now.
Yeah, for sure. Stay away from them.
So that's a good point. I didn't talk about this ever on the show, but it's a good point to bring up. As you said, just think about any of your exercises, how much risk they involve, and try to cut down or eliminate the high risk ones just for right now. You'll be able to get back out there and do whatever you miss doing.
Dude, is it cool if I bring up something while like people are putting in their questions and stuff?
Yeah, put in questions for Tino right now. But what do you want to bring up?
Yeah, so have you watched Tiger King yet?
I've seen it in my headlines, and I've been resisting clicking it because there's so much news and information right now. I don't have time to go down that road.
Oh yeah, right. But it's like, it's insane, like how everybody's like talking about it and like the kind of attention that it's gotten. I wonder if it would have gotten the same attention if people weren't like locked in their homes and had like literally nothing else to do but watch like these psychopaths about like raising and like marketing tigers. It's a weird show. I've only seen like the first 2 episodes of it, but I was curious to see what you thought of it, or maybe if like what some of the people in the comments thought of it. But it's ridiculous. It takes like a left turn like every single second. Like, okay, first you're watching like these people who are raising tigers. And then you have this guy who is like, man, if you're from PETA, I'm gonna do this, and he's like shooting down at the river. It's so crazy. And then like just like all these drugs that are involved, and like then they're like putting these tigers down. I think this is like the real message and like thing that I have a problem with it. So they're raising all these tigers for people to come and like take pictures with and pet with, and then they're becoming these massive animals as they are to become. And then they're like, well, now they're a liability because they're costing us thousands and thousands of dollars to feed them meat, and we can't afford it, and they're costing us more money than they bring in, because when they're big too, they're not as cuddly and cute for people to take pictures. So then they put them down. They cremate them, they get rid of them, they shoot them, whatever.
I think for many of us vegans, yeah, it's it's gonna be a tough watch. I guess for non-vegans, it'd be kind of like in the sense like when people watch like the Cubes of Truth, when they see what really happens as far as animal exploitation goes. It's a different kind of animal exploitation.
No,
so I guess I guess it is good in that sense to have that on TV, so people like can wake up and see what goes on and see how this is wrong.
You don't see the violence on camera. I think like if you search YouTube, if you type these guys' names in and you do a little bit more digging on YouTube, you can find like more harsh clips. But this is more like a documentary. It's not showing like some of the graphic like violent stuff, but you can put the pictures together, like just them talking about it, like all the sick stuff that's going on in that industry, and it's terrible, man. I think it's good though that it's like a lot of people are watching it. Hopefully they're like learning more about it. Like I talked to somebody about it, and they're like, yeah, next time I'm going to see a picture with a tiger, I'm going to be thinking twice about that person. And they're not vegan or anything. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I can't even go to zoos anymore. And they're like, oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. So like, it's like sparking like something in them.
That's cool. I mean, I guess that raises awareness about animals and ethics and how we treat them. Maybe something good will come out of this. I see mixed results in our opinions in the
comments. In quick.
Yeah.
But wacky people, I'm telling you. Let's read through some of these, I guess.
Let's see. Donald Trump's comment. Or Junior, you can get a tiger for just $2,000. I remember seeing that on the news. That's what he took away from it. And Tino's nutrition fact shirt, we don't know, but someone here in the comments suspected you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people were surprised that you could get tigers that cheap, but that was like back in the day. I think now it's illegal.
Hope so. It's any questions here for James Aspie? If you guys know how to hook me up with James Aspie, I don't think I have any connection to him. I'm trying to think, maybe a friend of a friend, but yeah, if you guys are friends with James Aspie, let me know.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
I've never talked to him before. He's Australian, right? So that could be one reason why.
Yeah, it's always tough, like, doing the Australian-US thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're probably closer, but like me, it's like the opposite side of the world.
Further hours, and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, if James Aspie knows about this, I'd love to talk to him. Chris Pratt went plant-based? Really?
Recently?
Chris Pratt, the actor?
I did a video on him like a while ago when he was like, bashing vegans and has like, a meat farm or whatever. I forget the whole story, but that's crazy because I know he was a big hunter.
Interesting. Wow. I'm never amazed. It seems to be amazed when I hear about who went vegan or at least plant-based or like, did you see the headline that Jack Black went plant-based or vegan recently? And he said he did it for the environment. I didn't read the whole article yet, but I was just shocked to see that headline.
Yeah, I saw that. Saw a couple like celebrities recently. Mark Wahlberg, I think, or God, who was it? But yeah, it's always cool to see these celebrities come out. Wasn't it Robert Downey Jr. too at one point?
Whoa, I don't remember
like,
that.
The past few months. I don't know, but it's cool when like these celebrities pop up and like bring attention to it. Usually it doesn't last very long because
That's
whatever.
why you don't
But
see me and Angie making videos about this like the day after, because more often than not,
right,
they're gonna disappoint. Then people say, "Why'd you make that video about them?" It's like, hey, I'm not their master. I was just reporting what's going on. But
yeah,
I've just learned. It's just, I'll acknowledge it like in the live streams, but maybe
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm not gonna make a video about it.
But then you do have some genuine, people like Joaquin Phoenix,
Oh yeah,
like killing it.
yeah. He's been vegan longer than we have, I
Yeah,
think. Right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Crazy. Love that guy.
Yeah, yeah, he seems like a really cool dude. Yeah, like after he won his Oscar, tucks on, or was it the other one here in LA, the Golden Globes. Anyway, after he won one of his awards, tucks it
Yeah.
on, goes down to the Sunday night group that meets in front of the Farmer John Slaughterhouse in South LA here, and hangs out with them to protest that whole operation there. So
So
yeah,
rad.
much respect
Yeah,
to him. And that speech he
yeah,
gave at the Oscars that the whole world needed to hear,
man.
yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Like how like much attention he brought to this was national television. This wasn't just like a little thing. Like the
International
whole world was
live
watching.
television. And it was
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about the animals, not him, no ego. He wanted to focus the attention on the plight of animals. So, yeah,
Right.
much kudos. Yeah, 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 highest regards for Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, he's legit. I'll make a video about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's not going to like
Yeah.
make a video next week how he's no longer vegan.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, like his whole like suit too, it wasn't made out of silk or wool or whatever it usually is made out of. It was like I think Stella McCartney was making it. I think she's the daughter of Paul
Oh,
McCartney,
wow.
and she made that suit for him. She's a big clothing designer. So I think that was rad. Like he's 100% vegan, this guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not just like, doing it for attention or anything, and like he's doing it for what it really
I mean, it's
is.
passion. If you're going to the slaughterhouse protest after you win your award, you're hardcore.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, yeah. So genuine too. Like very, very genuine guy.
Okay, Middle Earthling adds. I forgot the whole Jack Black story. Middle Earthling adds that he only stopped eating beef. So yeah, so I haven't researched it too much. Just that alone probably is
Yeah.
shocking for most people. That Jack Black, really? Wow, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy
Right.
that would give up beef.
Right, right. I wouldn't have guessed it, but amazing. Yeah. Hope he keeps going.
Here's a question for you, Tino. Ugly Bob wants to know if you can recommend any foods/vitamins that help with dry skin. Vegan, of course.
Man, to help with dry skin, I wish I was an expert at this.
'Cause I really don't
But
know.
I would say, you know, silica. I think it's silica. Things that are found in like the skins of like let's say for example like apple skins, I've heard are really good for your skin because they have silica, and that I don't really understand it fully again, but that really helps like with the health of your skin. But just like it's more of like avoiding like the wrong stuff in my opinion. Like when you're talking about like acne and stuff like that, a lot of that is caused by dairy and lots of processed food and lots of like oils and stuff like that, like refined oils. So it's really good to just avoid that stuff. And typically skin clears, but it depends. Like if it's like even dye related, it might be. I think it's something more of a dermatologist would probably have to look at. But I have heard of diet, curing or helping a lot with skin issues.
And Tracy,
Sorry, I don't have an answer.
Tracy, our moderator, brings up some good advice too. In case you haven't thought of this, yeah, she suggests hydrate for dry skin. Drink enough water. That might help. Yeah, so start there. That's a good place to start for sure.
Good advice. Yeah.
Any advice on how to give up candy/junk food?
Well, it depends. You could go both ways. You could go cold tofurkey. You could just cut it out completely. Or you can take baby steps. Although I don't like the baby steps mentality or approach, rather. It's very difficult. Like, imagine if it was like cigarettes or alcohol, like really, really hard to wean yourself off of that, like little by little, unless you're like really, hooked on the stuff like we talked before. But anyway, what I would say is find out, like, kind of think about it. Why are you eating candy? Is it because of the sweetness? Cool, no worries. See if you can replace it with like really sweet fruit. like grapes, for example, or like kiwis or really ripe oranges. Or like you say junk food, like I'm thinking like potato chips, right? The saltiness. Well, see if you can avoid that fried fatty food and eat something else that might also be salty. Like, I don't know, like maybe olives, or what you could do honestly is you could bake your own like tortillas, like with no oil, and you could just break them up and like dip them in guacamole or dip them in like a hummus. So that's just some thoughts there.
Tino, what would you say about some people who might argue that a vegan diet is inherently nutritionally deficient, that we are all malnourished, yet despite the fact I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I've been putting my blood tests up pretty much on a yearly basis since I started our YouTube channel in 2013 for all to see. And by all measures, every physician, every doctor I've shown them to, especially for a man of my age, 52, and guys my age are typically on a bunch of pharmaceutical medications. I'm on absolutely none. Well, and you've put your blood test results up too. You studied nutrition in college. What do you say to that claim, that unsupported claim that vegans are inherently like malnourished or deficient or something like that?
I mean, it's the same BS that I heard from my professors. And if it wasn't for like my open-mindedness, I probably would have listened to them and been just like any of the other students in there. If a whole food plant-based diet is terrible for you, why is it reversing the number one killer out there? It's the only diet that can do it.
We've seen no other diet, not even vegetarian, let alone some kind of like paleo or anything like that, that actually reverses heart disease. Reverses. That's a huge thing. The number one killer of people.
Right.
How about deficiencies wise? We know it's good for reversing the top diseases and causes of death. How about nutritional deficiencies? Because some will say it's inherently deficient and we're all deteriorating or degenerating. What do you think of those people's arguments?
I mean, the diet is complete. All right. Basically, you need vitamin D that you can't get from the food. Arguably, you can get it through certain foods, but I would recommend getting it through the sun. It's how we're really designed, to be. Is we're supposed to get it from sunshine. That sunlight hits our bodies, and our bodies create vitamin D.
I put my vitamin D's on all my blood tests, so go check them out, guys.
Yeah, and you could supplement with vitamin D too. I asked Dr. Greger about some of these questions because they're very common and totally normal that you have these questions. I asked him, what about people that live in places where they can't get enough sunlight? So he's like, yeah, I would recommend going for a vitamin D supplement. So that's like a non-vegan dietary issue.
I know many non-vegans personally, especially those who live in northern latitudes who take vitamin D supplements.
Yeah, no worries there. Vitamin B12, that's typically the most the nutrient that's brought up the most as like being claimed that vegans are deficient in, but there's no like study out there saying a vegan diet will cause you to be vitamin B12 deficient. So vitamin B12 is a big issue, especially for people, over the age of 50. Like, it's recommended everyone supplement vitamin B12. So it's not just a vegan thing. And even when you look at vegans, I mean, I do supplement and I like to be mindful of my B12, but there were many years where I didn't supplement vitamin B12. And yes, it does take a long time for vitamin B12 a deficiency to show up. But you think about it, where does vitamin B12 come from? So if you claim that it comes from meat, fine. How does that animal that bears the meat produce vitamin B12? And they're animals just like us, right? Like, for example, cows, where, lots of humans eat lots of cows. They're a vegan animal eating grass or grain, depending on where that animal is grown. That's a vegan diet. That's a vegan animal. So they're getting it from the ground. They're getting that bacteria in, and that's getting inside their bodies, and the body is able to produce B12 from cobalamin. So what I would say is think about this. I mean, all of our society has changed so much over the last 100 years. Like, we're not in touch with that nature aspect. All of our food is processed. It's washed. It's it wouldn't have B12 on there as it naturally would. And to be honest with you, some of those animals that are grown for meat are also vitamin B12 deficient, which is why they have vitamin B12 supplements for farm
So
animals.
why go through the middleman of eating a dead animal that's taking a supplement when all you have to do is take a supplement? I mean, it's recommended that most people take a vitamin B12 supplement regardless of if they're vegan or not. There's so many issues. There's intrinsic factor, which can affect absorption. That differs from person to person. Age, like you said, over the age of 50, and I qualify for that. So regardless of my diet, the best science out there says I should be taking one anyway. So people just should take a B12 supplement for all the reasons we've talked about. You said food's different. It's we wash it and all this stuff. So that's not an argument against vegans being deficient. It's a description of modern food production and how it affects
Right.
people's B12.
And it's safe too.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen to you if you take a vitamin B12 supplement. So, yeah, I don't know if I think we've touched on pretty much everything. I mean, B12's the biggest.
How about
Vitamin
let's
D.
flip it. Let's say you're not a vegan. Let's say you're eating exclusively meat. It seems like there would be even more deficiencies, vitamin, mineral, nutritional deficiencies from that. Let's like say, how about? I thought I've read that. I know I've read that approximately 90% of the United States population is deficient in potassium, deficient in fiber, and then once you get meat out of the way, I'm sure a whole bunch. I mean, only meat, like vitamin C, for instance. I mean, just right off the top of my head, 3 right there. That's more than we can
Yeah.
even think of for veganism. And those 2 we talked about, vitamin D and B12, aren't even vegan specific issues.
Right. Exactly. Yep. All of those, even carbohydrates. I mean, that's technically a nutrient too,
Yeah.
and it energizes you. It keeps you going. And yes, there is glycogen in that meat, but I mean, if you're cooking it, if you are going to eat 100% a meat-based diet, I hope you're cooking it.
Some are not.
You're gonna, yeah. It's just crazy, man. Yeah, there's way more harmful effects when you look at the two extremes, right? And we're not omnivores. Like, we do better eating just plants. It's ridiculous. I seriously can't believe like people will argue and like actually eat a carnivore diet. Like, what's that guy's name?
Let's not even mention any of these dudes' names right now.
Yeah. Forget it. But like, people know who I'm talking about. It's nuts.
So I pose
Yeah.
to you, if any of you guys are still out here trying to troll in the comments, let's see your blood test. Like I told you, I'm probably older than most of you dudes that are like, thinking that vegans are deficient. I'm 52. I'm stronger than I've ever been before. I've learned to slam dunk at age 51. I mean, the blood tests are there for all to see. So if the diet were somehow nutritionally deficient after 9.5 years now, really bad things should be happening to me rather than good things. So again, let's see your guys' blood test. I have mine up there. I'm not putting them up there to brag.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it out of transparency. Not all my blood tests have been always perfect, everything within range. I put it up there for all to see.
Yeah, for sure. And like, you're not in this alone either. I mean, there's a lot of healthcare professionals that will work with you to make sure that you do well. Like, you don't have to just go all in blindly, like just by yourself if you don't know what you're doing. Like, there's people that could help. And I think that goes back to like when we were talking about some of those YouTubers falling off the vegan bandwagon. It's like, well, what did you do to help it? I mean, did you just like
They fasted
by yourself?
they water fasted for 35 days to help it.
they try to like correct a health issue by themselves, but they're not a healthcare professional.
I've noticed that these people in common that we were talking about earlier that quit vegan YouTube last year had a strong mistrust of the health professions and avoidance of doctors,
Right.
antibiotics, which were prescribed in some cases to not to be
so
taken.
terrible. Yeah. It's so terrible, that mentality. It's harmful. It's irresponsible. Like, I don't know shit about working on my car, man. Like, I would never like do anything to my car.
too.
And if there was something wrong on my car, I would like rush it to the mechanic. I wouldn't try to like fix it myself or watch some YouTube videos and then attempt to fix it and then it's like not running properly. No, I would like contact my mechanic and be like, something's wrong with my car. I need your expertise. Help me.
Put your car on a fast, not.
Yeah, my car's not going to do too well on a fast. Same with our bodies. So don't starve.
Cool. So, any more questions here for me or Tina? I see people enjoying this. Some people just tuned in. I'll leave this video up so all can watch it if you tuned in late. Any thoughts? I see questions about this sometimes about like Middle Earthlings asking about iodine or DHA. Any thoughts about either of those?
Yeah, I mean, you could iodine. You could do like seaweed. Seaweed's pretty good. Make sushi, man. Like, who doesn't love sushi? So you could get it in that way. DHA, you could you're like, if you eat flax seeds, for example, or omega-3s, which have the plant-based form of omega-3s, which is, I think it's EPA. I haven't like focused on, or ALA. Your body will convert that to DHA, or you could take a DHA supplement if you really are worried about it. And gosh, I forget where that comes from, but it's a type of oil. Gosh, I forget like what food that comes from, or actually, I think it's some sort of like kelp type thing. But anyhow, there are vegan DHA supplements out there if you really want to dive into that. But
well, speaking of iodine, their follow-up question is getting iodine from a supplement different from getting it from iodized salt. Would you know that one? If you don't know, yeah, just let them know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would imagine because it's an inorganic form, right? Because it's attached to salt as opposed to like just being in a natural food, that it will. It's like saying, scraping like iron from an iron cast pan. It's way different than eating beans or spinach or something with iron in it. So I would imagine that would react differently in your body.
Let's see. Raven asked about duckweed, which we've talked about. I don't remember that being a source of iodine. I could be wrong. There's so many cool things in there. That one just could have skipped my memory there. But let's see.
Oh, it comes from algae oil. That's what it was, not kelp. I don't know why I was thinking kelp.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, Izzy, you did hear sushi, but we're talking about vegan sushi.
Duh, of course.
Let's see. Any other questions here? A B12 or vitamin D supplement that you're into, Tino?
The My Kind Organics makes a good vitamin B12.
No, that's
I really like their supplements
the spray,
too.
right? The sublingual spray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just spray it underneath your tongue or something. Most of their supplements, they seem like really clean, like nothing like crazy or extra in there. It's just like exactly what you need. And they make pretty much every type of nutrient supplement. So I take their B12 and I just spray it underneath, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing for years too, as far as supplements go. And I only started doing that like 5 years into being vegan. Like, it's like you. Like, everything was cool with my blood test, but I figured there's no harm in doing it. I got that argument from Dr. Greger, so why not? And my B12 levels essentially like doubled over the years since then.
Just get your blood work done like at least once a year is what I recommend to people, just to make sure everything is working well. Just like you would take your car for like a checkup at least once a year, I would think.
Yeah, and try to get your vitamins B12 and D tested. Those are not part of a standard blood test. So tell your doctor that you're vegan, and they'll probably you really should test those. Okay, so that's the key word there.
Almost every time that I go to my doctor, I'm like, I'm like really worried about this vegan thing. Like, do you think we could have this checked?
And they will.
Yeah, so just ask for it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to ensure you'll get those tests. Some tests don't have iron automatically too, so ask for that. Again, say if not to say you're vegan, you want to make sure you're not anemic.
Yeah, they'll typically have like hemoglobin on there, but it's not like exactly how your iron reflects. And I'm not a biochemist, I'm not a medical doctor, it's just what I've heard.
So any more questions for Tino? I know it's later out there, you're 3 hours ahead on the East Coast, and you are still employed right now, fortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can't keep
Fortunately,
Tino all
but
night.
I gotta get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and it's 11
Holy
o'clock, almost
Moses.
11.
Okay.
Yeah,
So any
yeah.
last questions for Tino? I didn't realize you had to get up that early. Okay.
Oh, no, no worries. I'm always game for like stuff like this, so no worries. Happy to do it.
Favorite vegetable?
My favorite vegetable, yeah, probably Brussels sprouts. God, I love
Mm,
them. I love cutting them in half, like putting whatever spice on top. I was really into like the Trader Joe's like sesame seed stuff. Like, you know what I'm talking
yeah.
about? It's like it was like sesame seeds and black pepper. I would put that on them, just bake them, and man, I could eat that all day long.
Or Brussels sprouts, I love them too. And one reason why I love them is because a lot of people get pissed off that I don't eat onions and garlic. They'll say garlic has this, I forgot, this compound that fights cancer, blah, blah, blah. And it turns
Uh-huh.
out that Brussels sprouts have even more of that. And the thing is, you can eat a bunch of Brussels sprouts, but how much garlic can you really eat? You know what I'm saying? So
Oh
if you're really
yeah,
concerned
yeah.
about food protecting you from cancer, eat Brussels sprouts.
Oh yeah, amazing for you, and they taste so good too,
Yeah, I like to put
like
them in
little
our kitchery.
cabbage.
If you have our book, Keep It Carb Baby, that's one of the optional ingredients instead of like putting in cauliflower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Izzy,
Yeah, so
Izzy
good.
thanks you for staying up with us too. And let's see, let's see. Any more questions for Tino before we send him off to sleep so he can stay employed?
Sleep plan.
I guess let's just cut off here, Tino. Let's just do it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we've been on almost 2 hours now, so I really think I was intending to keep it a little shorter than this, but we just had such a fun discussion, and I
No.
kind of knew we would because we haven't really talked in quite a long time, and
Yeah.
we've shared so much over the years. So I knew it was going to be a lot of catching up to do, and just just letting the discussion flow naturally, and I wasn't wrong.
Oh, I knew this would go really well, so I'm happy to do it again. But yeah, it's always good chatting with you, man. And I know, like back in the day, we had that the vegan outcast thing
Oh,
going,
don't
and
even
like
mention that.
everyone
Yeah, a
was
little
like,
like what we're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
right now, sort of. Yeah.
right, right.
So let people know
But anyone old school,
in case they don't know who Bananiac is, like how can they follow? I think I put a link in the show description for this video to his YouTube channel. But anything else you want to say?
yeah, I mean, I'm at Bananiac literally everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course. And I just post like recently. I've been focusing on lots of podcasts, so I interview like people from all walks of life. Like I recently had Dotsie Bausch, the cyclist,
Oh yeah,
the Olympic silver medalist from Game
yeah.
Changers.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
should out
I've
here.
interviewed. She's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I've had some of my favorite artists, like people from A Day to Remember, Amber Lynn, Story of the Year, a bunch of doctors that you've seen in documentaries, and maybe some other people that you've never heard of before. And just to have open discussions about veganism, about stuff about their lifestyle, things that inspire them, and just focusing on really positivity. And tomorrow I'm posting a vlog, so if you guys are watching this live, you can go on my channel tomorrow around noon Eastern, and you can see what I'm up to on a typical Rona day. So yeah, connect, and yeah, happy to meet everyone.
Congrats. So click the link down on the show notes. Follow Tino on YouTube, IG. I don't have the link for that, but you'll be able to just, yeah, he's Bananiac everywhere, as he said. That's cool having that name. No one's like, you don't have to compete with anyone for that. That's cool.
Oh yeah. Goofy name, I know.
So I want to thank all our moderators for doing a fine job. I've seen you guys just going through and dealing with people the whole time, so I could focus on Tino and the discussion. So thanks so much, Race Lover and Tracy. And I'm glad to see, Tracy, you finally found your oats. I know you're getting worried there that you couldn't get oats. A lot of us are having trouble finding some of our favorite plant-based foods right now. Huh? Who's eating all our food? Huh? What's going on? And I want to thank everyone in the discussion for having great questions for us. And I've seen the commentary, the discussions going along amongst you guys in the chat there too. So a lot of cool community going on here. So Sunday I usually have guests lined up so soon, but I have you guys might know Dr. Avi. he's a known personality on YouTube. You see him sometimes on Ask Yourself's channel. I follow him on social media like Instagram, and we're going to be talking about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and some of the facts, some of the information, some of the misinformation. We're going to get it from a doctor, and see what, just follow along. That's going to be this Sunday evening, Pacific Standard Time at 5 p.m. So mark your calendars for that. That should be an interesting discussion. So if you have questions about COVID-19, get ready to ask a doctor here on Sunday. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go and do what you guys are gonna do. I know I'm gonna go eat some big like carb-rich stew. We got sweet potatoes and other squashes in there that Angie's been making, so I'm really ready to hit that up, guys. So
Yum.
gonna keep it carb. All right, so thanks everyone, much love, and we'll be seeing you guys soon. All right, bye guys.